So recently, Jim Jones was, I guess he was on somebody's podcast or whatever, and he started talking about Day and Night, Kid Cudi's song. That's like his debut song, his biggest song. And he said, how he did a remix of it. And that remix that he did is what got Kid Cudi put on, like got him on radio, basically saying like he got Kid Cudi lit. And that's a dope story. But unfortunately, it's just a story. It's not true. That's not what happened. That's not how that time period went. When Jim Jones got on Day and Night, now mind you, this was like, we're talking about 08, 09. So that had to be, 19, 18. Everything was moving through the blogs by this point. You're talking about like your Two Dope Boys, all hip hop, hot new hip hop. You heard that new, all of those drugs. That's where everybody in my age range, that's where we were getting our music from. Weren't really listening to radio like that. It's just a fact. We weren't listening to radio. And this is how we found the Kid Cudis, the Kid Inks, the Matt Millers, the Wiz Khalifas, through the blogs, MySpace, all that stuff. It was not from hearing it on Hot 97 or waiting for flunks, waiting for funk to drop something. That was the time period where that thing was starting to peter off. So Jim's claim is that because he got on a remix and they played the remix on the radio, Hot 97, which I guess is the #1 radio station over here on the East Coast. If you're from New York, then you know Hot 97 is Hot 97. And he's claiming that because of that, that's what put Kid Cudi on. Listen, he's not all the way lying. He's not all the way lying. He's telling the truth when he says he got on Kid Cudi's record, Day and Night, and made his own version. That's a fact. He did that. They played it on the radio. That's a fact. They played it on the radio. Now the story becomes a story and falls apart as a true thing when he starts to claim that he broke Kid Cudi, basically. And without him doing this, Kid Cudi wouldn't have got on the radio. At least no time soon. It would have maybe down the road. Maybe. Who knows? Pretty much he put him on. That's where it becomes a bit disrespectful to Kid Cudi. I would feel a little like slighted if I heard that and it wasn't the case. And it wasn't the case. Kid Cudi was already known. If you were on the blogs, if you hung out in Soho, if you were in that underground scene, you knew Kid Cudi, he was buzzing already. It was this kid, the rumor was, he claimed to Kanye, playing Pat. He was already buzzing. He was already Kid Cudi. Day and Night was already circulating the blogs. We knew who this kid was already. That's just the bottom line. And he was already blowing up through what is now called social media. He was already blowing up. This was already happening. Common sense would say the reason the song even came across Jim Jones' desk is because he was already buzzing and blowing up. I know for sure. I'm not gonna say for sure. I'm gonna give Jim grace. I know that Jim likes to do things to go viral and for content. Like he's stated it several times recently that he's gonna go viral. He's the most viralist rapper out here. That's his goal. His goal, as long as you're talking about him, he gonna say anything. And I know that this was Jim's goal, was just to get the streets talking, to get people talking. Cause now you got the older guys that were like running radio back then, the guys that were working on Double XL, or guys that were doing X, Y, and Z, jumping up and saying, you know what, Jim got a point, cause He was on Hot 97, man. We were the number one thing, da-da-da-da. No, he doesn't have a point. And then when they got pressed on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, they started changing the story. Now we're not saying he broke Kid Cudi. We're saying, but he did. We did play the remix on the radio. He did get it hot. All you're saying is that Jim Jones got his remix hot. The remix had nothing to do with Kid Cudi, aside from the fact that it was Kid Cudi's song that he was reinterpreting into a street version of that song. That's what he did. That's all the song was. It was Jim Jones remixing it into a street version. And then the story goes from that to, well, we're not saying he broke him, or we're just saying that he played a part in opening up Kid Cudi to a new audience. No, he didn't. So by them saying like things like he opened Kid Cudi up to a wider audience, a different audience. One, Jim didn't make Kid Cudi mainstream. Jim wasn't mainstream to make anybody mainstream. This is 08, 09. Ballin' is already over with. That's why Jim was running around doing all these freestyles on people's beats and trying to remake stuff. He was trying to figure something out. And he finally found something out with Day and Night. It got him some play on the radio. It got him some play on the radio. Jim Jones. They didn't do anything for Kid Cudi because Kid Cudi was already on his way. Day and Night was already on radio stations. Hot 97 isn't the only radio station in New York at that time, or in the country in general. So the idea that somehow by Jim Jones' version of a song being played that didn't have Kid Cudi on it somehow helped Kid Cudi, it doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make sense. Now, if you're also trying to say by wider audience, that by Jim Jones remixing it, it put Kid Cudi onto street guys, like Jim's demo. How? Especially during that time. Listen, I know there's some people that listen to everything. I listen to everything. But a street dude that's listening to Jim Jones is not listening to Kid Cudi. And they're not going because they heard this remix that Jim did. Oh, who's the original? I want to get on to that. No, they're not doing that. That's not happening. Pretty sure more times than not, they try to listen to Kid Cudi and they was like, this ain't for me. So, in no way, shape, or form did Jim Jones help anybody in that situation but Jim Jones. If I'm Kid Cudi, I would understand feeling like disrespected when it's like, this guy's trying to like take credit for something that he didn't do. Kid Cudi put Kid Cudi on. Kid Cudi's story is amazing. He put himself on, he worked for it, and he got it. That's it. He caught Kanye's ear. He caught people around Kanye's ear. And he ran with it. He did the work himself. And he got the word he got by putting in the work. It wasn't because he got lucky. He got so lucky that Jim Jones decided to get on Day and Night. Because everybody in the country at that time was just waiting for Jim Jones. It's just not true. It's just not. You know, I know a lot of us from New York, we might have, what y'all call New York bias or whatever. I get it. I got it for some things too. But the truth is the truth. Period. We can't start rewriting history because enough time has passed that people won't check. That's why there's people like us, like me. We're gonna go, hey, buddy, I know what you're doing. Knock it off. That's not how this happened. Knock it off. You did what you did. You made a cool remix. It was a good look for you. All right? But knock it off, buddy. Knock it off. You didn't put this guy on. That's just not how it happened. We're not gonna let you sit here and rewrite history because you're on a podcast and you want to go viral. Or you done talked about so many things and now you gotta start making things up. Whatever the case may be. And I'll even shoot you some more bail. a little bit of Bell. It might be plausible that you truly believe that you did what you think you did, only because you just weren't that hip to how things were going and where we were getting our music from. And you didn't know who Kid Cudi was. So because you didn't know, you thought everybody else did. And maybe the people in your circle didn't know who he was either. And you were like, oh, nobody knows about this, I'm about to jump on this. So maybe you really do feel like if you didn't do that, nobody would know who he was. But like I said, it's a little bit of Bell, because the cynicism in me goes, you were hoping that this guy was a small fry and that you could jack that song. But that's just my take. I'm Tachi. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Y'all agree with him or disagree? I would love to hear your thoughts. Remember, as always, it's the culture. Keep it locked. Sure to check out the Culture Lock channel. Sure to check out my channel. All the links in the thing below. Let's keep it pushing. Peace.